So thank you, Jack, and I'm honored to be talking to everybody out there. As Jack said, that I'm known as LinkedIn Ninja, and I've been known as LinkedIn Ninja since 2010. What a lot of people don't realize necessarily is that I used to be in your shoes. I was a financial planner twice in my life. Crazy enough to take Series 7 twice in my life, plus the 66 and the 63. So, and the insurance licenses and the whole kit and caboodle twice. So, I understand where you're coming from. So, I'm one of the few social media experts who truly understands the challenges that those working in financial services, and especially if you're in your securities license, go through and trying to utilize these tools. In fact, it was when I was being recruited to go back into the industry all the way back in 2007, and I went looking to find tools. Well, what's been almost a decade since I've did this, what's available now that I could use to quickly get up to speed? And that was how I found LinkedIn, looking for tools to go back into financial planning. And the features that it had back then were nothing compared to what we have now. But what it did have was the advanced search. And if you are looking to do referrals, and I learned referrals from Bill Cates, and we're going to see his face pop up here a little bit later. That's who I learned how to do referrals. The hard part with referrals is that you ask them.
Is yours small like that? Because
I can hear you, Jack. Are you on the phone? Can you mute yourself?
No, someone else is on the line. Can you mute, please? Thank you.
Okay. So the hard part with referral marketing is you'll tell somebody, okay, this is the type of client that I want. And they've got to rack their brains to try and figure out who they know that fits that criteria. And half the time, they probably don't come up with the best people because they're just trying to rack their brains. And sometimes the people they come up with really are not your ideal prospects, but now you've been given this person to follow up with, and now you have the obligation to follow up. And so when you utilize LinkedIn's advanced search capabilities, and we're going to demonstrate how to really do that, essentially what you're getting is a treasure map to the referrals that you want. And it will tell you exactly who's connecting you so that you know how to get introduced. So you can go to someone and you can say, okay, here are your connections that I'd really like to get introduced to. Would you be open to doing that? So it takes the power and the responsibility of the referral being in the referee's hands and puts it back in yours. And so we're going to be talking about how to do that, but also take it a little bit further. So sales has changed a lot today. I was first a financial planner dialing for dollars. I did the cold calls. We had phone clinics on Wednesday nights and Saturday mornings and any other time we had time. But during that time, it was really difficult for buyers to find a lot of the information they needed for whatever it was that they were trying to buy. You know, you had the yellow pages, you had advertisements and magazines and TV, but you couldn't dig into what it was that you were looking to purchase very easily. Today with the internet, the buyers are in control. They have done the research, they have done the looking, they have already vetted which financial advisors they're going to interview before they even contact you. And so being in control means that you've got to change. And they won't work with pushy salespeople. Financial services is notorious for having used really bad Glengarry, Glen Ross, hard selling tactics, and people just aren't going to deal with it anymore. And so if you're using some of those old school tactics, they're not going to work with you. You're not going to have an option. So those sales tactics will not work. And an interesting stat I found is that 63% of people requesting information from your company will not purchase for at least 3 months, and 20% take more than 12 months. So that first contact is not going to immediately turn into a client. They've said for years, 7 to 10 touches it's going to take to convert someone to a client. And back in the old days when you had the phone and the direct mail for the most part, sending out your newsletter, sending out birthday cards, Christmas cards, it took a lot of time to get 7 to 10 touches to a prospect, but it doesn't anymore. And if it's going to take that long, that's why communication is so much more important. If they have that initial touch and then they never hear from you, chances are they're going to go with somebody else. So you need to find ways to stay in communication, ways to, when you get these little fishy prospects, they end up in a pond, but there's usually a way for them to get out. And so you have to keep them staying in your pond by communicating in some manner, whether it's social media, whether it's email, whether it's on the phone, in person. There's lots of different ways that you can communicate, and you want to find the ways that the people, your little fishies, want you to communicate with them and consistently do that, so that when they come to the point that they're ready to make that decision to work with a financial advisor, they think of you first. And so when I talk about LinkedIn to a lot of people and incorporating a system to really leverage this tool that I saw back in 2007 as a godsend to me starting a brand new practice, the initial reaction I always get is, I don't have the time. I just don't have the time. It takes too much time. LinkedIn takes too much time. And to be honest, it's bullcrap, because it's a knee-jerk reaction. They're overwhelmed with what they're already doing. They're making an assumption that it's going to take a lot of time, and they just don't want to do it. So if you're really thinking time is the issue with why you have not been able to leverage LinkedIn so far, I want you to look at those other prospecting techniques. Now, most of you said that you're getting referrals without a system. Are you actually trying to get the referrals? So you're really lucky if those referrals are coming without you asking, but there are 20% doing cold calling. How many people do you have to communicate with, and how much time and effort does it take to get the perfect prospect? So realistically evaluate how much time and money are your current prospecting tactics taking, and how good are the prospects that you get from that. And then also, when you get those prospects, look at the longevity of your access to them. You know, if you're doing internet ads, Google AdWords or Facebook ads, you're paying every time someone clicks on your ad, whether they fill out your form or give you the information or not, in order for you to hold on to them. There's no way to hold on to them unless they fill out the form. And if they fill out the form, and you usually can only ask for name, sometimes only first name and email address to even get them to fill out the form, do you have enough information and ways to continue to build that relationship? Is it going to be easy if they've just given you their first name and their email address? So you really want to look at your current prospecting tactics to determine how successful they are, how much time they take, how much you spend, before coming out and telling me that LinkedIn takes too much time. And if in your evaluation you find that you are able to find, identify, engage with 20 plus people who meet your perfect prospect criteria per hour, every hour you do it, then good for you. Don't worry about LinkedIn. But if you're not producing these types of results, then I hope that you're listening closely.